lately I've noticed that I've kind of pulled back from doing very heavily edited videos. So I figured, hey, let's break that cycle. Let's do a edited video response to a let's just put it simple, very salty take about a certain game that just recently came out. A certain game that involves a ghost and a woman and samurais. Let's respond to Ghost of Yotei exposes how terrible modern games have become. This is going to be, this is gonna hurt.
It's astonishing to see so many people shill for a game like Ghost of Yotei, or rather, Ghost of Antifa. This game does nothing new whatsoever. In fact, this game along with The Last of Us 2 and God of War Ragnarok all look like they were made by the same developer. Yet
Hey pal, you just blowing from Stupid Town?
Because yes, a third-person action game with focus on stealth elements, and a third-person action game focused on melee combat and combos and using different weapons is the same as a open-world game where it's focused on samurai combat and trying to kill your opponent in almost one strike. These are all the same. They are all the same. Saying something like that is like saying every JRPG and RPG are the same. Like, yeah, you could probably find something similar, but the difference are vast. So, already we're off to a great one, aren't we?
there's no shortage of shills doing their damnedest to convince you that Yotei is a must-play. While this type of buffoonery is not surprising, it is rather sad, because this shameful display of dick-sucking for Ghost of Antifa really illustrates how far gaming has fallen, and how a certain group of gamers are aiding in further destroying gaming. The people over at Sucker Punch that made Ghost of Tsushima must be on a leave of absence, or have gone full retard. They made a new IP that was widely praised, though for me, I found it to be boring personally, also formulaic, and definitely had some wokeness in it.
So everyone who likes the game is either being paid by Sony or dick sucking or Antifa. Wow, you know, when you boil down everyone to simplicities, it's like you kind of miss the complexity of the human experience. So, for the record, the whole Antifa thing comes from the lead actor who plays Asuna, basically saying, yeah, she's Antifa. She said, my wife is Antifa. I think she's herself bisexual. And listen, I know this is kind of a controversial subject. I'm not going to talk about it, but I am going to say I am a person who separates the art from the artist. I could tell if she did a great job as Asuna, I would be 100% on board. I don't care about your politics. I don't care about your pronouns. I don't care about your sexual orientation. I just care about the job you're doing. That's the important part. People are allowed to have their opinions, and people are obviously allowed to say things that are controversial. You know, literally this guy had a video talking about Charlie Kirk, who, you know, while I wasn't happy he got killed, he said a lot of shit I disagree with. Do I think he should have got hurt for what he said? No. But, you know, I always find it weird with these anti-woke people. They talk about like how they want their freedom of speech. They want, you know, to have their right to express themselves. But when someone who is in like in a lead role for a movie, a television show, a video game in this case, they speak up and, you know, speak their truth, also you gotta shut them down. But when someone tries to do that to you, that's wrong. It shows hypocrisy. Does not know a political party. It's universal. It's part of the human experience.
But regardless, Sucker Punch built good faith with Ghost of Tsushima. Fast forward to now, and well, the same can't be said for Yotei. I mean, from the start, the reveal trailer told me all I needed to know about the game. There was no need for a wait-and-see approach, because developers have pulled this shit for years. And if any of you couldn't see it from the first trailer, then you clearly haven't been paying attention. The motives from Sucker Punch was made apparent. Ghost of Yotei was to make Atsu the new face of the franchise. This is what these developers do. The Last of Us did it in its sequel, and Spider-Man 2 did it as well. But there were several
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. God have mercy on your soul.
So let's get this straight. You think Naughty Dog is replacing Ellie as the face of the Last of Us franchise with Abby? But no confirmation of this at all, by the way. In fact, far as we could tell with The Last of Us Part 2, Abby is just kind of off doing her own thing. With Insomniac, you think they're replacing Miles Morales and Peter Parker with Mary Jane? I'm sorry. Were me and you playing the same fucking game? If anything, it seems like they're replacing Peter with Miles, and that's not even true at all, because, like, Miles is on the same footing as Peter. He's a part of that franchise. Like, already, can you tell this person is not thinking like a rational human being? Look, I want to make this very clear with the Ghost franchise. I call it the Ghost of franchise. The Ghost franchise is not supposed to have a singular focused character. From what I can tell, it sounds like what the plan, if there is any plans for this franchise, to be honest, it's going to be kind of like an anthology series, the best way to put it, where these are different stories, take place in different times, and have the ghost of as like, the area. Like, let's say Ghost of Tokyo, for example, just, come up with a random Japan location in my head. That's the point, is that these are supposed to show stories for these areas and these characters. It's not supposed to be a franchise that has an overarching story or overarching characters. Like, at the most you get is like maybe an Easter egg reference. That's it. And for the record, I want to say this right now. I think that's good. I think that's what the Ghost of franchise should be. Because if you try to focus on a singular character, especially characters that don't exist in the real world, or really don't, their character arc feels like it's done, especially in the case of Jin Sakai, I think you kind of pigeonhole yourself into a problem where it's like, okay, where do we go now? Like, we obviously can't, just depend on Jin. And the problem with that is if you depend on one character for your whole franchise and you don't let other characters come in and kind of organically build a bit of a fan base or be a part of the story, then it makes the franchise stagnant. I mean, look at Halo and Gears of War, for example. Prime example of franchises that have been trying to branch out, because the fans don't want it to branch out, it's kind of stuck in a small little plot that's like, it's not gonna grow any bigger.
Other things that made Ghost of Yotei such a controversial game before release, and I'll go over it to remind the dumb fucks that still insist on shilling and making excuses for the slop. Sucker Punch deliberately hired Erika Ishii to play Atsu. They could have went with Atsu's Japanese voice actress or someone else, but instead went with Erika because she shares the same far-left ideologies as Sucker Punch. It was obvious by some of the devs' bios on X. And further proof, being the now former dev at Sucker Punch had mocked the death of Charlie Kirk in a post on Blue Sky, where a few developers from Sucker Punch liked the post. Then there's Erika Ishii, an outspoken radical far-left activist with, according to her, has all the pronouns, and had made a post in 2020 stating that she and her wife are Antifa. Yes, the terrorist organization Antifa. And there's no way that Sucker Punch wasn't aware of any of Erika's posts.
Yeah, again, like I said, you don't have to agree with everything a developer, a artist do. At the end of the day, if the work is still good, then why the hell do I care about your politics? This is, like I've said, this is like the social brain rot I have seen just come across. Like, I grew up in a generation where we didn't know what people's political opinions were. In fact, most of the time, people didn't even talk about politics. And now it's just like, I've said it before. Not every thought deserves a post. So, agree to disagree. I also agreed on separating the art from the artist. So I am going to be very straightforward here with you guys. I am just checking out on this video the more I'm editing through it, because the fact is, he goes through the same points you hear all the time from these people. Oh, this story's about revenge, and then she's nice to women. Oh, blah, 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 blah. It's just like every fucking point you've ever heard. He goes into like straight on spoilers, which, first off, dude, fuck you for doing that. That's just disrespectful to the game. Well, then again, you know what, at the end of the day, I don't think you respect video games. I really don't think you respect video games that aren't hyper-sexualized, toxic man fucking power fantasy games. Just like this whole video, I got this just distinct impression that this man does not like anything that involves a woman. I don't think a woman has touched his wee-wee in a long time. I don't think this man has had a conversation with a woman that he doesn't call mom or sister. And at the end of the day, this is the kind of bullshit I kind of try to stay away from. Because all this does is regurgitate the same fucking points I have heard every fucking time from these fucking right-wing lunatics who, at the end of the day, rather see video games become a parody of what they could be instead of something actually more. Instead of video games actually being art, they want to control the art. If you have a woman in a video game, they want that game removed. Unless she's got big ass tits and is sitting there ready to suck someone's D, if you know what I'm talking about. And I just can't stand these kind of people. Because, I will say this right now, I don't care if you want those kind of games. Great, cool, but not every game should be that. Not every game should be also an artsy-fartsy, experimental kind of game like Sea of the Sword, or Sword of the Sea. Goddamn, TVG. Gotta learn how to say it right. And not every game should be The Last of Us Part 2. Not every game should be God of War Ragnarok. Not every game should be a first-person shooter like Battlefield 6. What's great about video games is actually having a diverse, palette. Instead of playing the super hyper masculine games from the fucking 90s and 2000s, you should play something different. You should actually expand your palette. But these people, they don't want to do anything new. They want video games to go back to the same fucking well that dried up in the 2000s. Now, I'll be the first one to tell you, I do think Sony's games tend to focus a little bit too much on revenge. I mean, you saw that with The Last of Us Part 2, you see this with Ghost of Yotei, but where the difference is how the story is constructed and how the characters reflect on their quest. At the end of Part 2, you saw the price and it made Ellie wonder. And I'm not going to go into spoilers for Ghost of Yotei out of respect for the game, but it's a different take of what the quest of revenge does. And I appreciate that Sucker Punch didn't go the route of the depressing end. They went with the route that actually has, not to get again go into spoilers, somewhat happy ending. And listen, as far as, gay, and trans people being in video games, yeah, again, I don't care if you're gay. I don't care if you're trans. Just make a well-rounded character. Just give me a good performance or write a well-rounded character and I will be happy with it. Because at the end of the fucking day, I'm looking for entertainment. I know that some people think entertainment should be some power fantasy bullshit by the way, during this whole video, he suddenly brought up realism. Like, motherfucker, aren't you the same people who sit there and go back to, you want video games to actually be fun? If video games were realistic, the protagonist, more times than not, would be shot dead in the first 10 minutes in a video game. Let's be honest with ourselves. Video games are not supposed to be realistic. They are not supposed to reflect, what would actually happen if you're going to The Last of Us Part 2. What would happen if you got shot in the fucking chest by a man with a 12 gauge? Because guess what? That character would be dead, no respawn, game over. Do you really want that? Do you really want games to be hyper realistic? No, but here's the crazy part. When it comes to that, they want it to be hyper realistic when a woman's in a main lead. But when it's a man, oh no, I just want it to be quote unquote fun. That's just so yeah, I'm just gonna end the video here because while I really did want to commit to actually doing this, whole video, I'm gonna be honest, it drained me. And it's like a part of me sits there and goes, how many times am I gonna sit there and say this man is clearly coming at this as a grifter? I honestly don't think, the more I see these kind of videos, they all look the same to me. The quartering, guys like Synthetic Man, the fucking Griffin Gaming, they all sound and look the same to me. It's so weird that they talk about like how the Wokies are the hive mind. I'm like, y'all motherfuckers' videos look exactly the same. You made exactly the same points. At what point do you not realize you're part of the hive mind? So, if all that said, guys, thank you for watching. And until next time, guys, value your sanity. Just avoid these people at all costs. And I'm not even saying like, don't have the same opinion system. That's fine. If you have the same opinion system, fine, great. But just avoid these channels because they will drain your sanity. Just, yeah. Like I said, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and all that YouTube hour and BS. I need a fucking cup of coffee. This almost drained me to the point I want to fall asleep. Bye.
Tell me when I'm telling lies.